It's another fantastic night for racing action here for the Beer League. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Austria, to Spielberg, and of course, to the infamous Red Bull Ring. My name is Rempel. Joined alongside me tonight is Acinni as we bring you all of racing action here on this fantastic Wednesday afternoon. Fen, it is round number 7 of this championship, and what a day it is looking to be this afternoon as we get set to go racing in Styria.
And Styria, we go racing. It is fantastic to be back for round 7. A kind of one of the things I was looking back on this evening as we were getting underway and kind of getting everything prepared, I was just like, man, it's been 7 rounds already. And it has been a fantastic 7 rounds with these Legends 34 coupes. They are it's some of the most unique driving I think I've seen in a while on road courses.
It's one of the most unique rides you can expect to see indeed, and we'll look to give it, get a look at how things are going to line up. For now, though, let's take a quick swing back, and we'll take you through what happened last week at Mount Panorama. Take a look back at this unbelievable photo finish that we had alongside some of the series regulars like Alex Coffert, Henry Morris, and Alexander Bueller. They went 3 wide down the Conrad Straight Fin, and it was only about 13th out that separated them at the stripe. It was the closest finish of that month as well.
That it was a hectic battle between all of them, a duel to try to figure out where they wanted to be lining up into the chase. And as they came around the final corner here, you see that exit that Henry Morris is able to pull off, or sorry, Alex Coffert is able to pull off and keep the lead there.
And of course, that takes us straight through to the driver standings of today. Alex Coffert, with that jump, has jumped up 3. He is now 6 points ahead of Alexander Bueller, with Bueller being 5 ahead of Henry Morris. Right now, top 3 all separated by only 11 points. With only 3 races to go until the end of this championship, that's not a big points gap at all, and this is definitely going to be one. I think that's going to go all the way down straight to the season finale.
I would have to imagine it would. I would also not count out Giovanni Romano. Like 2 solid finishes for him, and I think he is back in it with them in the mix. So I think it's very possible we have either a 3-way or a 4-way battle for the championship spots for the podium going into the last 3 races. As we also take a look here at the team championships.
Several of the team's championships have traded hands. Zero Team 6 up 1. Legends Never Die down 1. And the Misfits and Legends of the Hidden Temple are both up 1 and 2 as well. But with that all said and done, qualifying action is just about to kick off. Let's ride on board with Connor Daly as we get set to take a rundown here on what a lap's going to look like here around the Red Bull Ring. As you see a few cars looking to get around Connor Daly as the O2 gets around him on the outside. And this is the mad sprint towards turn number 1.
And as they get down to the mad sprint of turn number 1, get around it, it's a little bit of a shortened lap here. We're not going for the full Red Bull Ring Formula 1 Grand experience that you usually see. Instead, we have this awesome hairpin right here. Another right-hander, one of the 5 right-handers that we go through over the course of this course. And we have our 1 left-hander corner immediately following it as they get ready to go down kind of the back stretch of this track now before the final 2 corners into back to the start-finish stretch.
It is the lone left-hander, as you say. Every other corner, we're turning to the right as Connor Daly jams on the brakes and runs into the back of the car. So not quite going to get an idea there on how those last 2 turns play out. We'll flash back to Tyler Vietman, who will be able to take you for a trip and show you how all this is going to pan on out into those last 2 corners and back around to the front straight away. So that is where everything lies for the time being here for the Red Bull Ring, as qualifying very much underway as of right now. And it's, again, looking to be a pretty solid run here throughout this field. Not expecting to see anything too untoward. This qualifying session is going to be interesting. A lot of attempts to get laps in, because this is so far the only track we've raced at all season long where the lap times here are under a minute.
Yeah, it is the only track so far. It's may not be the only one. We'll see. We still have 2 more rounds to the championship, if I remember correctly. And plenty more opportunities, though, for all of them to set lap times since that lap time is so short. And we get to really see what their pace is and how quickly they can go as Bruce Clayton takes the gravel of the kind of sand trap there on the outside of that right-hander following the left and validating that lap time there. And one thing to also keep in mind as we kind of look at a few of these drivers using all of that runoff is if you take those tires beyond the curbing, all 4 of them are beyond the curbing, it will count as an off-track. Off-tracks are pretty famous for being notoriously stringent here, kind of similar to Circuit of the Americas.
Oh, yeah. The track limits are not something you want to play around with at a racetrack like this. As you see Brooks Clayton having a lap invalidated. Connor Daly going to go up 1. Tyler Carlton jumping up to the number 11 spot. So solid effort for Carlton as he's going to look to jump up through the field. And I tell you what, I mean, this is looking to be good for him and not expected this to go down any differently.
Not at all. I am fascinated to see Austin Tucker up in the top 3 as well. Alexander Buehler trying to find the 400ths that separate him and the podium spots for this sprint race. The heat we have before we go into the feature for the evening. And it'll be a fantastic run for all of them as they keep turning on laps. Watching these group of cars come around the final couple corners here towards the start-finish line.
Tyler Carlton indeed doing everything he can do to try to work himself up and around as the field going to take towards the front straightaway here this afternoon. And we are having a few difficulties behind the scenes here. We're going to take ourselves a quick jump back. We'll be back with qualifying. Continue in just a moment. Stay with us. And welcome back. Hopefully should have things more or less sorted now. Some glitches going on behind the scenes here, but this field, again, looking pretty set to take off and continue on as per the norm. See Tyler Carlton jumping up to the number 15 spot on the timing sheets. Chris Zofer right now will be the next driver that we are waiting on to maybe get a lap in. He's taken 6 attempts so far. Hasn't been very successful for him. Justin Hall, though. How about Hall jumping up to the number 4 spot?
Yeah, I was watching all the drivers underneath Justin Hall slide down, and I was like, that is a fantastic lap time for Justin Hall. I think the best he has qualified this season so far. So fantastic run from him as he gets set to make another flying lap, kind of taking the toe from Austin Tucker.
And up front, Jake Kasich still chasing Henry Morse's 59.3, half a tenth up from Kasich's time. So Jake Kasich need a little bit more. Well, he's going to need even more from there as Henry Morse has just reset that time with a 59.231.
Yeah, and has opened that gap up by a full 10th now, a 10th separating each of the members of the podium. And then Justin Hall, a shy 200ths behind Austin Tucker in 4th position. I think it's going to be a very tight battle for these top 10 positions. If you look at all the 200ths, 300ths of a second separating the top 10 drivers up until about Alexander Hammonds, who has the biggest first real almost 10th gap after the podium.
9 minutes to go and about 9 more laps if drivers want to try to get a time in, but that is only for those that are already out there and circulating. As we see Alexander Buehler looking to drive himself potentially up and into a good run. Brooks Clayton going to take his number 9 to a 1 minute 1:43, improves up to 20th place and immediately spins it out of turn number 1 this afternoon. Corey Barrett will do the same and actually collides into him in the runoff area. While other drivers are still continuing to battle that, and boy, everyone having problems out of 1 and the final corner.
Yeah, it seems to be the part that catches them off the most. That curbing on the exit of 1 really can unsettle that car. Same with the exit curbing going on to the start-finish stretch. You get a little unsettled there, and it'll kick you out because you're on the throttle, trying to get the most out of that time there, and then the car isn't planted anymore because of that curbing, and then it just wants to spin.
Watching Austin Tucker as he tries to chase a 59.231 right now. Austin Tucker, his fastest lap, a 4:99. That is the fastest lap that he has put down so far. And right now, 20 seconds away as he tries to see if it can't best it, but not looking ideal for him. I think this track, now that it's really populated and a lot of cars out and running, I think we're not going to see too much movement here in these closing minutes.
Yeah, not without another lengthy tow from a driver, pulling another driver up the order as a result. I don't think we'll see a whole ton of movement. We'll see probably a couple swaps for position. I think we'll find a couple more hundredths and maybe a tenth or two. But I think otherwise the grid looks pretty locked in for the heat race here at Red Bull Ring. Chris Bright taking the Classic Beer League exit to qualifying and finding how far he can launch that car off the track.
Alexander Hammonds starting another flying lap after he just came out of pit road. Right now he sits 9th with the 59.697 in current store for that number 26 car. So Hammonds with a little bit of work to do. Scott Fleming right now up by a few tenths of a second based on overall pace. His fastest lap just over the 1 minute mark. And this could potentially put Scott Fleming up towards the top 15 if he can get this time in.
It certainly looks like he is on the route to break into the top 15 with that time. I think he's got it if he's able to keep up with that little bit of a tow he's getting from Jason Lee. Oh, no.
Yeah, that'll be enough for the off-track 1X, and that'll do it.
That will do it. And he has taken the grass and has elected to invalidate that lap time. So unfortunately, no better time for him this go-around.
Meanwhile, Alexander Hammonds misses the mark by about 0.3 of a second. No improvements for him. How about Henry Lieberman, I believe, making his first start in the number 67 entry as he takes his machine down and into turn number... I count the turns here. I think that's... This is ridiculous to have to count these few turns. I think that's turn 5, though.
I believe it's turn 6, but one of 5 or 6. One of them 6.
So you got turn 1, then we got 2, 3. No, it is 5. 6 turns total.
Okay, yeah. Oh.
It is 5.
Wait, but he came out of the back, came out of the start-finish stretch. That was turn 6.
Yes. Yeah, turn 5 is where we saw the guy go off, between 5 and 6.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes. I just missed that.
So that's 5 that Alexander Clank went off just before.
Yes. Excuse me. Forgive me. My brain caught up too slow.
Alexander Clank misses the mark, not able to improve. And so remain number 6. We got 5 minutes to go here in qualifying.
That's like 5 more laps, 5 more opportunities for these drivers. Blake Gambrell looking like he's going to try to set a quicker time than the 1 minute and 1 minute 0.8 that he's currently got on the board.
He's all by his lonesome, so in theory, this should be a pretty good run for him. The attempt to get that time in. Coming around through the final corner.
Oh, is that enough to be an off track? I don't think so. He still had the wheels on the curbing.
Just missed.
No
out.
faster. Oh.
And Austin Tucker is struggling to keep up the pace. He's really good in the opening sector, but it's that back half where he just loses all momentum out of turn 4.
It's one of those things where if you lose the momentum there, it's really hard to get it back because the next 2 corners are these nice, not really nice, but like these very 90-degree heavy momentum requiring the pace there to have been maintained earlier to then run to just kind of coast through them more than really apply a whole ton of braking. And if you lose that, like you said, where he loses the momentum, he has no opportunity to get it back, unfortunately.
So it seems to shift on the brakes there because he was up by 0.5. The instant he jumped on the brakes, though, it swung around to the other direction. And I think that maybe a lack of draft could be contributing to why Tucker's not able to make a good time up here.
I would have to agree with that as well. I always got to remind myself that these cars are very draft heavy and they want the drafts. They you lose a lot of time not taking the draft. Austin Tucker refusing to give the draft to, that's Alex Cofford. Sorry, Alexander Hammonds.
Looking like we'll have 36 out of 39 attempted to qualify as Kyle Blevins, Tyler Agostino, and obviously Giovanni Romano all opting to remain in pit road. While Jake Kasich seeing the potential he can improve, and right now he's up by almost half a second.
And I think if he's up by half a second here, and if he gets a draft from someone further on down the line, he might be set up for a decent run, but I think he might be sliding backwards without too much of a serious draft.
Working his way into turn 5, out, and that might be a little bit too wide.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit too wide. All 4 tires
coming back
off
to
the road
it.
there. Yeah.
And he's going to pull to the side and give it up. That would have been a great time, though. Oh, he didn't even have to push that hard. He was up by 8/10. That would have been enough to eclipse Morse's pole time. He didn't have to be pushing that hard.
He did not, but then you have those moments of greed where you think you've got a great time and you want to push that little extra just to really cement it, and that's where it bites you, is when you want to get that little bit extra more than you've already gotten, and that is where it comes back and will claim the time that you have gained and then some, as you have to invalidate the lap time because of the off track.
Several drivers beginning their final trip around. Bueller goes to second, and only by 4 thousandths of a second, he misses out on pole.
4 thousandths between him and pole. That's got to be just a little frustrating when you're aiming for the fastest lap and you feel like you've got the pace, and then the numbers just show that you are just not quite fast enough. And it's like, But plenty of opportunity there to make up that one spot in the race. Giovanni Romano, I think, sideways in pit lane. But Alexander Clank looking to set a lap time.
Bueller looking to get down there as well. No improvements for either of them. As we'll look back to Ben Williams as we are taking a quick peek in on drivers that are just coming to the end of their qualifying efforts, and they will not have time to go over another one with only 25 seconds left on the clock. Can Ben Williams improve into the 59-second bracket? He does not. He's going to miss out by almost a second on his prior time. And so, with that, qualifying going to get set to draw to a close here.
And it's been, I would say, a rather interesting one, all things considered, as Ben Williams slides it around at the end as the rest of these cars come over the start-finish line, and the rest of these cars qualify. Yeah, it's going to be great. I think it's going to be fantastic stuff, especially with how close this grid is, separated by hundreds and thousandths. It's going to be a battle, I think, all the way to the checkered flag. So
taking a rundown of your official starting grid here for heat race number 1, and specifically for that 15-minute sprint, Henry Morse on pole with the 59.231. Alexander Bueller, 4 thousandths of a second off the mark. From there, back on row number 2, it is Jake Kasich alongside Austin Tucker. Row 3, holding Justin Hall and Alexander Clank, with row 4, holding Chris Bright for Zero Team 6, and the Formula Legends, Jason Lee. Top 10 headed up by Alex King and Alexander Hammonds, and then closing out the top 12 in those final 2 invert spots, it's Eric Ronenberg and Justin Brissi. From there, moving down to the field, it is Aaron Thacker, Matthew Dupuis, Henry Lieberman, Ron Wolf, Tyler Carlton, Greg Beckman, Scott Fleming, Chris Flams, Brooks Clayton, Evan Campbell, Ryan Murphy, Matt Verstappen, Corey Barrett, Darren Bai, Connor Daly, Ben Williams, Blake Gambrell, Jeremy Castro, Tyler Vietnan, Ryan Verhulst, Carson Catlin, Adam Joseph Mailhot, Jordan Babcock, Chris Zilfer, Giovanni Romano, Tyler Agostino, and Kyle Blevins close out a 39-car field.
A packed field for this evening, and I think it'll make for some interesting fights all the way up and down the grid. Our pole sitters and our championship fighters all having, I think, pretty good starting positions, with the exception of Alex Cofford, who won't be here, I think, for the next few weeks, if I remember correctly, now that I'm thinking about it. But for Alexander Bueller, Henry Morse, both having fantastic starting spots, as well as Jay Kasich, who, yeah, good stuff.
So the pack getting set to rumble this afternoon. And 15 minutes of racing action is officially underway. The sprint race goes green at the Rempel ring. A good getaway from Alexander Bueller, immediately pouncing on Henry Morse for the top spot down in the turn number 1. And a collision behind as we got cars going around to the apex of 1. Multi-car pileup 5, 6, 8, 9, and it's a roadblock into that first corner.
Gosh, it absolutely is. Giovanni Romano, Ben Williams, Justin Brissy, Ryan Verhulst, all these individuals wrapped up in this fight and just having to work their way back around and find their own way.
Meanwhile, Alexander Bueller leading the way this afternoon down to turn number 5 and making his way into 6. Henry Morse maintains his run in 2nd. Austin Tucker back in 3rd. And they'll track to the front straightaway for the first time this afternoon. Alexander Bueller leading the first lap to green after he mobbed Henry Morse at the top spot. But looking like Morse is just going to be content to push him down towards turn number 1.
I think that is very much the case based on the way he has been driving with these cars. Every opportunity there for them as we look at this lap 1 incident. Justin Brissy getting spun early, and then individual incidents for a lot of the rest of the field later on, as well as that's where the pileup starts, separate of Justin Brissy's spin.
And we got another issue coming around through turn 1. Same corner, Eric Ronenberg, and this time Matt Verstappen facing the wrong direction as well. So a few more cars now getting caught up in potentially another big incident in that opening corner. It has just not gone the way of the field so far in these opening 2 laps. So Bueller has led the first pair to green, with Henry Morse in tow right behind him. Bueller with the fastest lap of the afternoon thus far. And out of the final corner, we have lost Connor Daly.
We have lost Connor Daly as he comes to a halt, then gets it back going again. And the rest of the order continuing to file out. Number 24, Jeremy Castro, also finding a spin in the background.
And he is not the only one. He has collected Darren By with him.
Fortunate break for Jeremy Castro, as well as Darren Darren. Oh my gosh. English. I can do it. We're getting there. Sorry.
Meanwhile, Justin Hall has got Chris Bright under fire. Bright looks to the inside, takes that spot away. As Jason Lee, Alex King, and more continue to slice and dice behind. Morse and Tucker continue to push up to Alexander Bueller. Austin Tucker trying to see if he can't make a look happen here. 59.175 for Tucker that time by. Takes the fastest lap of the race. He got one sideways out of the final corner, but looking like that is a single car incident.
That it is, all by the lonesome there, just on that curbing again. One of the many cars getting caught out on that weight transfer into the final corner, as this group of cars going too wide. Brooks Clayton as well as the,
It's Ron Wolf, Romano, Catlin, Barrett, and more all under a blanket here. As Giovanni Romano trying to look to get up and around Ron Wolf in that 119.
Giovanni Romano on a bit of a recovery drive from the early turn 1 incident that he got kind of arrived late on the scene too, but a little bit wrapped up in. Trying to stave off Ron Wolf, Brooks Clayton, who both have the draft from his car as he's working his way up the field.
Oh, how about this? Looking for 3 wide, coming down the front straightaway here. That 37 of Chris Flams being pinched into the middle. Bump drafting going on either side of him as they're going to get it back doubled out through turn 1 and around. Going to go Jeremy Castro. And the 79 of Blake Gamble going with him. Ryan Verhulst crashes into it. And looking like that'll be a 3-car incident.
That it will be a 3-car incident, as these cars are, once again, they don't seem to want to do too wide very well with each other. Alex King, all on his own. Spawn coming out of turn number 3. Sorry, no.
4.
No. Yeah.
I was on the approach to 4. There's the first pack of 5. With Bueller, Morse, Kasich, Clank, and Tucker. Oh, and off the track gonna go Jake Kasich. As Kasich spins that thing on, and I think may have found the barriers. Bright, Lee, Hammonds, Hall all get through. Jake Kasich dropped back to 9th.
Yeah, and unfortunate. Just the car gets unsettled. He tries to recover it, and it just slides out from under him over that curbing. And he makes friends with the barrier, gets it going again, but falls out of that podium spot, or that contention for the podium that he was finding himself in up until that point.
Meanwhile, Bueller, Morse, Clank, and more continue to run away, and this leading pack has really been whittled down. We're down to just 4 cars now in the leading group, and still nobody opting to go for the lead. It's been a lot of save. No one wants to lead this race so far, as Austin Tucker takes the lead away.
As Austin Tucker continues to the fastest lap there. Brooks Clayton getting a little loose. Covers it well. Keeps it out of the doors of anybody else.
And a
2
few
by 2 into turn 1.
Justin Brissy gets around Corey Barrett, Carson Catlin, and Brooks Clayton. Going to get up and in there as well as Corey Barrett. They'll drive her in deep into turn 2 and make the drive around for 3.
Corey Barrett, one of the many cars wrapped up in an earlier incident, managing to recover fairly well. Alex Clank also getting around Austin Tucker this lap round, but they're all just staying in kind of a nose-to-tail draft pack, trying to keep everyone both together, but also nobody really wants to lead because they have to then give up that lead eventually. Oh, Henry Morse late on the brakes. Avoids running into Alexander Bueller.
I think we may have had an issue from behind as Brooks Clayton has gone around. This is, oh, there he goes. Kicks the tail end out and got into Matthew Dupuis. Rebounds back into Chris Flams, and well, that was all she wrote for that one.
Oh. It's always frustrating when you have an earlier incident that you recover from, and then you immediately have another incident a lap later that you're like, I just did this in a way that didn't cause problems. Why is it now suddenly way harder to fucking manage? Excuse me. Sorry.
Oh boy. Alexander Clank gonna go up and around as Bueller trying to go with him, and Henry Morse makes it 3 wide for the top spot. Austin Tucker gonna be picking up number 4, Bueller in 3rd, Clank 2nd, and Morse picking up the lead.
Alex Clank on a tear, trying to keep up with these top 4. Solid qualifying. They're trying to convert that into a nice heat victory.
Six minutes to go, and estimated 6 laps on the boards as well. 5 or 6, it could be one of the two. I'm guessing likely 6.
That would be my guess as well.
Lap time is just under 1 minute. That would track then for a 16-lap race in a 15-minute feature event. Does Henry Morris, Alexander Clank, Bueller, and Tucker. Chris Bright going to go around Alexander Hammonds and Jason Lee. Making moves as well, and you saw the kick out there from Hammonds.
Yeah, Hammonds doing a really good job on the wheel there, keeping that car under control as well as it could be. Tail end, getting really happy but quick hands prevail.
Coming around with 5 minutes to go. And a move being made for the number 2 spot is Alexander Bueller going to go up and around Alexander Klenk. Klenk tracking out wide as well as he tries to chase after Bueller. Morse getting up and in there as well for the top spot, and then you got Tucker and Klenk back for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, the 4 cars that are still on this duel for all the podium spots, and I think Alexander Klenk just getting a little bit loose this last lap, allowing Alex Bueller to work his way around. I'm curious to see how warm the tires are in the draft for all of these drivers.
And here we go. Alexander Hammonds will look to take one away from Chris Bright as well. So Hammonds drives around Bright for 5th. All the while, this battle for the 12th and final transfer position, or oh no, collision and Holden Wano, 2 contenders that are off the road. Ron Wolf sweeps through into 12th, and all of a sudden it's Wolf, Campbell, and Murphy that are going at it.
That always is a welcome circumstance when you're one of the cars behind, but definitely one of the ones that you don't want to be in that position, getting spun around. Ron Wolf going, well, this is cool to get some positions, but it sucks that I had to watch 2 cars be stuck in the gravel trap off to the side.
4 minutes to go. And there goes Alexander Bueller, takes the lead away from Henry Morse. Morse, I'm sure, not going to take that lying down as he tries to battle back to Alexander Bueller. Klenk in 3rd and Tucker in 4th. All of this in an aggressive struggle to maintain supremacy in that top spot.
And it's a hard thing to do with these cars, but it's not impossible. They also have a little bit of lap traffic, I believe, coming up to them as they head down the final corner towards the start-finish stretch, which will make things a little bit more interesting as the leader will then be the individual, well, I would say would have a draft, but they have pulled off to the side and allowed this battle to continue unabated or without any assistance from lap traffic.
Chris Bright, Hammonds, and Jason Lee all gonna get up and in there as well as Alexander Hammonds takes that one up and around the long way through turn 1. Jason Lee gonna be brought it back to 7th. Hammonds will immediately drop back as well, as I think he had to pull back just a little bit with that slowdown penalty they would have gotten as a result of that. Looking to come around with 2 laps to go in the 15-minute sprint. Carson Catlin having it off at turn 1, and that is going to give up a handful of spots to this pack right in front of him.
Oh, and that pack looking a little bit loose at this point as well, so it's probably a little bit frustrating when you've gotten through the pack and then have to work your way back through it.
Two minutes and 2 laps to go. Bueller with the lead. They are already catching up to lap traffic. We knew it was not going to take long at a track this short. And boy, is it ever going to be a difficult ride for this field once they get around to the main event. If this is how quickly they're going to catch up lap cars.
Yeah, we're only 13 minutes in, or coming on 14 minutes, and I think we will probably see a good handful of lap traffic. Henry Morse on the inside, taking the lead away from Alexander Bueller as they go around. Austin Tucker also looking to see if he can slide himself up in the order as they come around the start-finish stretch.
And no white flag being waved, so we're going to get another lap in here after all. So we are on 2 to go now. They were a few seconds shy on being able to make it home. And Bueller goes defensive for the lead at turn 1, loose, and Henry Morse battles back.
Loose on that exit there gives that opportunity for more battling, and I'm excited to see where we go. I'm hoping for the over-under there for Alexander Bueller, but he just kind of slots in, hoping to get the draft out of turn 4.
30 seconds, and Giovanni Romano, fresh out of pit road with the black flag. He is planning to start at the back, though, so I'm sure he is not going to be minding that at all. And now this time, looking for the final lap, and Morse is in lap traffic, and that's going to leave him vulnerable to an attack here from Bueller.
It is, but it's also going to give him a draft, which is something that we usually don't see the leaders being able to have. So it's going to be an interesting one as they all try to fan out, try to find that draft for the leaders there. Henry Morris, Alexander Bueller sliding up the middle there. I think it's going to make for a very interesting last lap. Alexander Bueller late on the brakes, trying to get around him.
Round the outside line, makes the pass or tried to make the pass happen. Didn't quite work out for him. Henry Morris maintains. Bueller now lunging for the inside. Morris saw it coming, pulled out wide. Might be trying to set him up for a run here in a 5 and 6. Tucker's gone around at the tail end as well. So problems settling in for Austin Tucker. He is still dropping in speed. Now he gets back up to pace. Morse going to look for the inside. He is not wanting to make the move on Bueller just yet. Coming down in the round into turn number 5. Looking for turn 6. Coming back around out of the final corner of the start-finish stretch. It's going to be a drag race down to the start-finish line. Loose moment there. Morse, can he hang on? Bueller pulling. Not going to get there. Henry Morse wins the sprint race.
Oh, 600th of a second separating those two drivers. Henry Morris, Alex Clank beating out Alexander Bueller by 0.2 of a second.
Nice run there.
A fantastic run for both Alexander Clank and Alexander Bueller. I think if Henry Morris hadn't gotten as loose as he did on the exit, I think he would have had a little bit more breathing room, but he held on to it.
And you see as well, not as many drivers taking part in the post-sprint race festivities as well. I think some drivers, with how fierce the off-track 1Xs here can be, getting a little bit twitchy on that one. Might have been getting a bit close to the limit.
And I would also say with how short the lap is, I think we also just have people just coming over the line a little more as they've gotten a little more spread out, I feel like, than we've seen in some other batches of drivers.
Someone's caught up in the fence there as the rest of the field is slowly but surely making their way in. It's the usual parties down here. So we're going to take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon. And boy, it was a wild run that we had for the sprint race as the top 12 goes Henry Morris, Clank, Bueller, Tucker, Hammonds, Lee, Bright, Kasich, Liberman, and Thacker. And then, of course, from there, you also had the likes of Wolf and Carlton finishing 11th and 12th. That's going to be it then for the sprint race. Coming on up in just a few moments, it's going to be main event action. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. We are just moments away from gearing up for the 1 hour main event coming on up in just about 2 minutes time. Before we get to all of that, we'll get a quick chance here to be able to take you on a quick blast to the past as we'll take a rundown of the finish of the last time we were racing out here just earlier on in just last year. As a matter of fact, it was in the Spec Racer Ford Series, this very track, and boy, it was a wild finish, not too unlike what we just had here this afternoon to the sprint, Fen.
It definitely was going to be another close one from what I recall of this race. You want to talk me through it real quick?
John Combs, of course, was trying to hang on to the lead. Drivers like Corey Barrett, Jake Kasich, and Austin Tucker were absolutely hounding him throughout the entire duration of the final lap. This is, of course, on the full Grand Prix circuit, so using a bit more wiggle room than what the little national circuit gives us here this afternoon, but it didn't stop drivers from using the absolute most out of every piece of racetrack that they had access to, and this a fight that went right down to the wire. Critically, Combs, while he took the win, was not allowed to hang on to it as a result of a post-race penalty, so it went back the way of Corey Barrett in that number 7 car, who right now is actually the 3rd car in line out of the final corner.
That's fantastic that out of all those cars, the 3rd finisher is the one who ends up taking it.
Yep, Kasich and Combs both had slowdowns, as it turned out, that they never served.
Wild. That is a fantastic photo finish. I'm going to guess we're going to probably see another one here. These cars seem to just lead to it so well. Though, with how short the lap is with the national circuit, we might see some more drafting from lap traffic for the leaders, which will, I think, give a little bit of a different dynamic if they do actually do some drafting there, not just allow them to drive by without issue.
20 seconds to go, and I'm going to pop the question right now. Do you got any potential favorites here before we enter the starting grid?
Oh, if I had to pick favorites,
choose wisely.
I think I want to say we'll have another three-way duel between Henry Morse, Alexander Bueller, and Alex Klenk. I think for kind of the more of the finish, and Austin Tucker, four-way for those four. So those four, as a collective, are going to be the favorites, and I'll be interested to see how that all shakes down when we get going racing here.
So the field going to get set to roll on out this afternoon as we'll take things over to the starting grid, and they'll line up like this for the 1 hour main event here from Spielberg, Austria. It is, of course, Carlton started on pole alongside Ron Wolf. From there, moving on down for the field, it's going to be Aaron Thacker alongside Henry Lieberman. Jake Kasich and Chris Bright bring it up on row number 3. Row 4 holds Jason Lee and Alexander Hammonds. And row 5 brings it up for Austin Tucker and Alexander Bueller, with Alexander Klenk and Henry Morse closing out the top 12. They were the drivers finished 1 and 2 in the sprint. From there, it is Ryan Murphy, Evan Campbell, Justin Hall, Eric Ronenberg, Tyler Augustino, Ben Williams, Scott Fleming, Corey Barrett, Mac Verstappen, Greg Beckman, Carson Catlin, Brooks Clayton, Chris Flams, Alex King, Darren Bine, Tyler Vienning, Connor Daly, Matthew Dupuis, Justin Brissy, Chris Zofer, Blake Gamble, Adam Joseph Melhot, Ryan Verholz, Giovanni Romano, Jordan Babcock, Jeremy Castro, and Kyle Blevins closes out the field.
A packed grid, most of whom have taken to their starting positions as we get ready to go green here.
Most drivers just about ready to go to green flag racing here this afternoon as we see the last of the contenders here just flashed up on the starting grid, and now field is set. We are just about ready to rumble again, and like you say, waiting on the last couple to close this one, or to bring this one up. Again, 2 potential safety code 69 in play this afternoon. They can happen anywhere between 5 minutes in and 15 minutes from the end. Last week we had 2, and boy, it shook up the running order, and it could look to be a big shakeup if the same happens this time as well.
It'll be fantastic to see. I would love to see 2 code 69s. I think it really also allows for more of that close battling later on in the race once the field has gotten a little more spread out. So we'll have to see whether or not that takes effect as last couple drivers making their way to the starting grid.
Revs are going to build. And from Styria, it's go, go, go at the Red Bull Ring. Tyler Carlton with a good getaway. Ron Wolf, though, gets a better one, trying to run him down into turn number 1 for the first time this afternoon. Ron Wolf going to look to do just that as the field cycles over through the first corner this time by. And it doesn't look like we got many products coming around. A couple of cars get a bit checked out. One car does go around. That is, I believe, Ryan Verhulst's very tail of the field, while everyone else clean and green through turn 2.
Yes, it is clean and green as they all get through turn 2 into turn 3 and turn 4. A much tidier start to the race here. I think maybe because it's a little longer, people are a little more apprehensive. But Ryan Verhulst kind of spinning on his own and otherwise keeping the field moving the right direction as they get into turns 5 and 6.
The field swinging out, all of them trying to find some way to get through. Kasich off the road, nearly takes out Aaron Thacker on rejoin. And Ron Wolf, not wasting time, quickly going to go to the race lead. He'll lead lap number 1 to green this afternoon.
And a fantastic display of cars splaying out behind them in this shot that you can see here as they get ready to go in 3 wide into turn number 1.
Tyler Carlton round the outside of Ron Wolf, trying to make something happen. Henry Lieberman trying to get up and in there as well. Austin Tucker now trying to look to the inside. Henry Morse looking to go with him. And overall, it's the battle for number 2 as Lieberman quickly pulling away early on to the 67.
Yeah, Henry Lieberman showing fantastic pace here early on, kind of on his own little island at this moment. But I think if the rest of the race, the individuals there can make their way back up to him via drafting, those are the words I'm trying to say, I'm just not being able to say them apparently, they will actually not keep him on the island for long, especially if he goes off like that on the final corner.
Oh, we got one car way out wide behind. That is Jason Lee that is just tumbling down the field. Brooks Clayton falling out with that leading pack as well. Oh, trouble front straightaway. Matt Verstappen into the wall.
Oh, my gosh.
Right into the guardrail on the pit straight. He's going to be able to get that thing joined up. But boy, an awkward moment as Verstappen getting turned to the front straightaway. And now 3, almost 4 wide into turn 2.
A bold turn 2 as they all try to get through, leaving no room for error, but they are managing to keep it out of each other's door panels and on the racetrack.
For now, at least, Ryan Murphy is stopped in sideways, and he's at a very blind corner. Not a lot you can do in that position, but wait for the whole field to go by and hope for the best.
Yeah, that, or if there is a gap, at this point, there's no gap. So like you said, the whole field working its way around before he could feel like he can safely rejoin without causing more damage than he's already experienced.
Ron Wolf has quickly been caught, was not able to really break away as Henry Lieberman. I think had some kind of a problem there. He's been caught by the top pack though, and now Ron Wolf has driven back into the lead of the race. Now 3 wide into turn 1, contact. Carlton almost goes around. Brent almost goes around. Carlton will go around, and he's going to take Alexander Hammonds with him. And in fact, he'll collect Justin Hall as well.
A unfortunate break for all of them. And turn 1, I feel like it's just going to get so many people out over the course of this race, like it has already, and will continue to do so for these drivers as they get back going the right direction.
Few drivers having to get a bit creative with their racing lines as drivers that have problems are rejoining right in front of him. Meanwhile, Clank trying to go around the outside of Ron Wolf into turn 5. Now looking to make the run around to 6 as Wolf continues to hang on. And Clank, will he get a nose in here down the pit straightaway? Looks like he will do just that.
That he will. Had a bit of a better run out of turn 5 into turn 6. Ron Wolf getting a little loose there, but had the inside line there, which kept him free up until turn 1. Austin Tucker looking to slide in behind Alex Clank, keep pushing him forward and away from this pack of cars behind him.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars all tucked up in a big blanket here in this big battle for the lead of the race. Just behind them, some aggressive lunges being made. You see the 65 of Justin Brissy all over the shot, wriggling around, and it's the same story. Turned to a very awkward corner here at the Red Bull Ring in this national layout, so I can't say I'm surprised. It's basically a bit of a contrivance corner, right? It serves one purpose, and that's to just get you back around to the other point of the racetrack. It honestly kind of breaks the flow up a lot of this place.
It's, you know, the national layout is definitely the layout designed for the local series. You know, it's not meant for the big series or any full-length racing. It is designed for the kind of shorter, and what we'd see probably these cars be used for over there would be this kind of style of racing. But as a result, and like you say, it is only to get you to the back half of the course faster than going all the way through the more notable corners of the Red Bull Ring that have been kind of chopped off in this layout. It becomes a very awkward corner, like you say. Not a lot of camber, and especially with cars that have zero aero, it becomes this very awkward thing to manage. And especially as you have cars that are trying to go around the outside, like the 71 there, and keeps it in for turn number 3 and 4.
An attempt to go around the outside for Shane Cameron. He'll have to continue to maintain as he tucks into the draft of Matthew Dupuis. And no dice this time, but Justin Hall will look to the inside of the 5. Can't get through there. Dupuis off the track, quickly gets back onto it.
And a lot of these cars in the back half of the field looking a lot looser than the cars up at the front. Alex Clank, Austin Tucker, Ron Wolf has a big shake from Henry Lieberman, causes him to probably lose out to Henry Morse. He's going to probably fight for it here in turn 2, and that he does.
Code 69 window is presently open right now. We are still waiting to see, though, if that we will get one or when. But the window is very much open for business right now. We just got to wait to see when that's going to come out. As Clank continues to pull clear in turn 5, and again, not seeing too many cars really eager on getting back to him. Fuel saving game might be the name of the play right now.
I would think so. That and just kind of keeping the draft, so that way you have somebody to both draft with as well as kind of push forward and then continue to kind of make your own space, ideally breaking away from this group of cars that now stretches about top 10 or so in total, all nose to tail.
Behind them, Chris Flams looking to the inside, or to the outside of Justin Hall, trying to make a lunge. Couldn't get in there. As well as that, Justin Brissy attempted to go around Dupuis and failed in doing so as well.
Alex Bueller with the fastest lap of the race in that pack. Brooks Clayton off at turn 2.
Yeah, Brooks Clayton having a problem here, and he is right behind Ryan Verhulst, collided with the back of Verhulst and spun off the road.
Yeah, missed the braking marker. I think got a little bit target fixated, and then with no real, braking lights on these cars, it's kind of hard unless you know where you're supposed to be braking and you can see the car getting bigger in that windshield in front of you, and you're not anticipating it. It'll definitely creep up on you in a way that you're not expecting.
Giovanni Romano takes the fast lap of the race as well. There you see Justin Hall going around Alexander Bueller, looking set to make tracks as well.
Giovanni Romano here.
Oh. Boy, we cannot get away from incidents tonight, can we? As the field is going to get back sorted, and we'll look to battle that out once again. Jake Kasich making the look to the inside of Ron Wolf for the number 3 spot. That'll be a tight move, but Kasich might be able to secure him out of 4.
Might, but it's going to be looking like they're going to keep going too wide. But Ron Wolf getting the worst exit out of there, so he'll follow in behind Kasich. Kasich on a fantastic recovery run from early incident in that heat race, kind of dropping him out of the 12 that he could transfer into a fantastic starting position. So he's been on a tear pretty much since the jump to try to work his way back up the order, and he's found himself back at the sharp end of the spear.
10 minutes in, 50 minutes to go, and we are just starting lap 11 of racing action tonight.
Man, with a minute a lap, it is, those numbers add up quickly. 3 wide in the front stretch. Alexander Bueller, Aaron by Tyler Carlton, all trying to get ahead of this group and keep working their way back up the order. Matthew Dupuis, Justin Hall, all trying to make it in as Darren Bai goes off the road, it looks like. Filters in at the back of that pack that he was at the sharp end of.
Just a little bit of an off. It looks like they're all good, though.
Yes, nope, no contact, no spins, so just the frustration of having to work back through a field you've already worked your way through, which, Justin Hall making friends with the gravel. Well, maybe not making friends, but finding the gravel.
Big tough break for Alexander Bueller. Was looking to have a good day today. Was up near the front at the start of this race, and well, since the start has only dropped back positions, he is down to 15th, and with him being 4 seconds back from Ben Williams, that's not a spot he's going to be able to recover from very easily.
I think those code 69s are going to be what saves him, and I think he's waiting for it to pop up so that way he can top up on fuel and then make his kind of drive back up to this front stretch and not have to worry too much about trying to make a fuel saving one-stopper happen as a result.
Campbell and Bai continue to go side by side as we'll fight our way into turn number 4. Darren Bai closing in on Evan Campbell.
And that kind of I would say that shakeup from Darren Bai really kind of spread out that pack in the midfield here that we see just a lap ago had all of them bunched together. Now they're kind of in 2 separate bunches. Justin Brissy leading that group, as well as Ben Williams leading the front set of cars.
Aaron Thacker here, jumping 2, went to 4th and then to 3rd, just to the braking zone of turn 1 alone.
A fantastic dive onto the brakes. A great place to do it if the car is planted and you have the run and exit. But you also have to worry about that car deciding to slide out from under you or the curbing catching you off guard, as we've seen it catch many in turn 1 there.
So Clank and Tucker will continue to scrap it out. And you can see Austin Tucker thinking like, hey, he might want to have a lunge down here on Alexander Clank. Lieberman and Ronneberg just a little ways behind them as well, side by side. That is for 7th, and a hole to the inside. Lieberman should be able to get him here in turn 2.
I believe that is Chris Bright also trying to get into the mix there. But Lieberman getting around Ronneberg, I think it was pretty easy there. Matthew Dupuis, unfortunately, it was very cool until he made contact with the barrier.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, style points don't win races, as is made evident right there.
Yeah, you don't really. It's not like the beer bonus points we have in this league, where you get bonus points for style, outside of kind of looking cool, but they don't win you races. That's fair.
If you're just tuning into Racing Action this afternoon from the Racing Sim Game Expo Truck Series, we do welcome you along. As I believe they should be wrapping up there anytime now. It's been a hard-fought race over there. Of course, Richard Regan Jr. taking victory in that championship just last week. And how about this for some 3Y? Tyler Carlton, Ben Williams, Chris Flams, and Darren Bai all going at it.
They are all trying to make the move happen. Again, kind of this island forming of these cars kind of behind or in front of Darren Bai and those pack of cars. We're going to see a lot more pockets forming in between all these groups as the race continues until we get the code 69, whenever that pops up, if ever it pops up, I suppose. As they continue. Code 69, beginning at the end of lap 16.
Ooh, and look at the aggressive duck in there from Chris Flams. He sees it coming, and that will mean end of this lap. We're going to be seeing this field slow it down, so this is where the aggression going to turn up the way just a little bit more in these few moments coming on up to the caution flag.
That, I think so, as well as try to secure kind of where they're going to start out for the restart after the Code 69. I think it'll be a couple of dicey corners as they individuals kind of, I think, further back in the field all fight for their spots. A lot of cars ducking in already to get their pit stops, their first of, I believe, probably 2 at this point. Pit stops complete, and I think we'll see a lot of this field does not go in. Never mind. Some of it does, though. Ron Wolf diving pit lane.
Mixed call, right? I mean, it's not a guarantee that you can go all the way from here, so...
No.
We see Alexander Plank making his way to the race lead. Augustino and Wolf are in. Mostly everybody else staying out, though.
That is the case. I'm super curious if they're going to try to extend it to a wild stop as a result. Which I think might be possible. It'd be a little interesting if that's the case.
So
Tyler Agostino.
Go ahead, sorry.
I say Tyler Agostino, Dino Romano, a bunch of cars coming out of pit lane after getting their pit stops complete.
You see Alexander Kling still continuing to lead the way. So our first break here of the night, and it is not looking like we are going to be getting green here for a little bit, as several drivers are still catching the tail of the field. We'll take another quick step back. When we return, racing action will resume once more on Greenflight TV. Stay with us.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Code 69, first one of the afternoon, just moments away from drawing to a close. If you're just tuning in, whether you be from our existing programming or from the Premier Sim Racing Sim Game Expo Truck Series, we welcome you on board to the back 39 minutes here of this race. As the first of our potential of 2 slowdown periods is beginning to form up again, and now it's in the hands of Alexander Klenk to determine when this field jumps.
And I think he's going to wait until he has a great opportunity to get a run on Austin Tucker and maintain the lead of this race. Though I think he also might be wanting to be in second, because it seems to be that's the place that a lot of people prefer to be over the lead of the race with these. But we'll have to see as they come down the last 2 corners.
Will in the bet likely into turn number 6 or into turn 1. It'll be one of the two. As Klenk holding, no jump yet. Checking him up even further, heads up for the back of the field here. See them all jamming up back here, and field is gonna launch, and we are back to green.
We are back to green red flag racing. Alex Klenk getting a great launch on all these drivers, as well as the number 14, I believe, of Justin Hall. No, excuse me. Not Justin Hall. Having a great launch there and making his way up to 3rd.
So Klenk was able to get a good getaway at first, but he was not able to really pull away from the field. They are double file for a good number of rows behind. As the field right now scrambling.
Yeah, they are scrambling for positions here as the restart happens. 2, 3 wide, or perceptively so as they get into the final couple corners here. Alex Klenk leading the pack away for lap 1. And I think this is kind of the part of the race I was excited to get back to, because they are all within the opportunity window now to get the drafts, get back into this fight over for, major position changes. Aaron Thacker diving up the inside to take over the lead of this race from Alex Klenk. Jake Kasich trying to muscle out Austin Tucker as Justin Brissy. Ben Williams, I believe, gets wrapped up in a couple of incidents there in the background. Sorry, Henry Lieberman.
Lieberman going around along with Moore. As you saw, Casey giving a massive push to Aaron Thacker coming down in towards turn number 1 there, which is why he was able to absolutely swamp Alexander Klenk for the lead. Jake Kasich running in 3rd. The whole pack, meanwhile, continuing to cut up and through just a little ways behind him, single file for most. And it's all the way back here where we're looking for 2 and nearly 3 wide.
And they are elbows out at this point, trying to get things done as Brooks Clayton and Justin Hall make contact there on turn 5. Both trying to get back going the right direction. Henry Lieberman and Jeremy Castro both avoiding Brooks Clayton as they rejoin.
And Justin Hall lost that by himself, and Brooks Clayton, when he overcorrected, had nowhere to go.
That's heartbreaking for Brooks. Nowhere to be, but where they don't want to be. So
Corey Barrett continuing on in that 13th place spot. Alexander Bueller is still situated just behind him in 14th. And then, of course, you got Jason Lee, Chris Flams, Ryan Verhals, Carlton Beckman, and Williams bring it up for the top 20.
And tenths and hundredths separating these top 20 drivers. Corey Barrett diving into pit lane.
One of the contenders that did not pit, remember, underneath that code 69. And this could signal the rest of the field to come in before too long.
Well, the green flag running window is about 24 to 28 minutes, or laps, because it's about a lap a minute. So we'll be interested to see who else dives in as they get low on fuel and decide to come in for their pit stop and see if they can make the one stop happen more seriously. But to do that, they will probably need another code 69, so they're going to probably stretch the fuel out as much as they can over the next few laps.
Few cars looking like they've gone around back here. Darren Bai in particular looking like he's had an issue. Potentially as well, Jordan Babcock in this mess. As, whoa, there you saw him already. Saw he was up the field, and then Babcock just careened into the rear, and Bai barely getting caught in it. So did Lieberman.
Yeah, both Bai and Lieberman getting caught as that rejoin attempt was ill-timed, trying to avoid all the other drivers, but then got going at the wrong moment. Fantastic dive for Giovanni Romano as well. Henry Morris not looking to give up the position, but Giovanni Romano, Ron Wolf, both trying to squeeze around. Move it back. King getting a little loose there.
So the 16 of King continued to battle it out with Tyler Agostino and co. Meanwhile, Aaron Thacker looks to want to go. He is trying to get one to the inside of Eric Ronenberg. Jake Kasich very much in the move as well. Alexander Clank gets in there. So a move made for the lead, but a move that was not successful. Oh, collision after the final corner.
Oh.
Morse goes sideways, and Alex King collected as well. And boy, for all of the front runners from last week's race, it is just falling apart. Ronenberg to the point.
Alex Bueller also caught up in that as soon as he was trying to get his way back up the field. So all of our championship contenders having a way worse race than I think they were hoping for coming into tonight.
Approaching the halfway point in this race. So we got just over 30 minutes on the clock. Aaron Thacker looking like he wants to try to make a send here on that 017, but it's going to have to be a look that happens down into turn one.
And I think he's got a a rough exit off of the final corner there, really having him to keep the draft to even maintain the position and not get eaten up by Alex Clank. Giovanni Romano, Alex Clank both diving in the inside. Jake Kasich. We have a quickie 69 happening at the end of lap 26.
And that will be end of this very lap. So yet again, code 69 will look to kick off once again. And this one will put us past that halfway point. And things are about to get interesting now. I would expect to see a good chunk of the front runners in.
I would have to imagine that is what they're planning to do. You see a lot of them tuck in on the inside, all four. The leaders diving into the pit lane. Giovanni Romano, only one staying out, and that is because he pitted on lap 16.
The whole field jams with the binders right now. Everyone that is staying out right now are all drivers that pitted on the lap 16 code 69.
Yeah, so a very interesting split strategy going on this evening between the drivers kind of at the lead of the field as well as the rest of the pack that have all already pitted once. A good handful of drivers that have already pitted once also coming in for their second pit stop of the evening. And they're looking to make that a one stop. Or a one stop to the end.
Romano with the lead. And this yellow flag going to be going by, like you say, in a bit of a hurry. So not expecting this to be more than a lap or two. There we see a few drivers also getting... Oh, in fact, never mind. I thought they might be giving the order to double up. No, that's just a lap car being given that wave around.
Yes, that is lot car, I believe, Connor Daly working their way around. And then unworking their way around. You see all these cars slowly creep over the hill there in the shot.
Halfway point officially drops in this race. We will look to go back to green flag racing in short order here. Probably less than a lap before we'll get this race back underway.
I'd say less than a lap or exactly 1 lap is going to be my guess. All drivers, with the exception of Henry Lieberman, are back out on the field. The individual still in pit lane at the moment. And we are getting the Form 2 restart lines call. So I'm guessing at the end of this lap, we'll see.
Or sooner.
Yeah, it's true, or sooner. And Giovanni Romano in a fantastic place to be for the restart. Heading up the field.
Romano, Agostino, Lee, Carlton, Flams, Williams, Verhulst, Fleming, Verstappen, and King currently make up the top 5 rows of this field. Under 30 minutes left to go.
I think we're going to see a much more chaotic restart this time. Just to think.
I think the big one to think about right now is, do these drivers like Romano have the fuel to go the distance? If they don't have enough to go that long, only 17 cars, then the top 17 are all in jeopardy on fuel. We'll have to wait and see. This could very well turn into a fuel game quickly.
I'm going to guess it already has been a fuel game from the first pit stop. So I'm going to guess that a lot of these drivers will have to come back in for the second stop based on how long the green flag running is for fuel. But
out of the final corner, and Romano jumps on the loud pedal with 27 minutes exactly on the docket. The rest of the field hightailing it down the front straightaway and in towards turn number 1, looking to fan out 3, 4 wide. Cars coming together, a big concertina in the mid-pack. They're all able to get through it, though, completely unscathed.
I was a little concerned there with those number of 4 wide cars we saw further back in the field, but everyone seems to be going through, keeping going the right direction. 3 wide through turn 2.
3 wide, multiple rows deep, in fact, through turn 2 as the pack cycles our way back around. Bit of door-to-door contact deeper in the pack there. But for now, this field getting away well once again, and there's the fight we were looking for at the start of the race down to turn 5.
Yep, and they are battling for
Oh, there
position.
we go.
And
Oh, one
number of
upside
cars.
down, and rolling is Corey Barron into the tires.
Corey Barron into the tires, able to keep it out. A bunch more in contact there on final corner.
Boy, this is falling apart quickly here, as this field is just crumbling around each other. Well, it didn't take long for the elbows to come out, and boy, they came out in force.
They did. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, but this is definitely the part where I'm seeing the elbows. Not only are they out, but they are swinging for other drivers trying to keep cars behind.
You saw the crash kind of start up the road, and then Corey Barrett just takes a tumble right into the tire bundles. We'll jump a bit further back and look at what started this whole mess, as it kind of kicked off with the legendary cars.
A couple of them.
There's the first hit. It was the 76 being spun sideways.
76 of Connor Daly getting wrapped up with Alex Klenk. And then more contact further back, Jeremy Castro, as well as a few others. And then Corey Barrett arriving on scene afterwards.
Well, the field, after that melee, they have not shown any sign of losing that gusto as they continue to go 2 and 3 wide. And
Giovanni Romano is on an island of his own at the moment. Tyler Agostino 2.5 seconds behind, with Tyler Carlton kind of paired off. Jason Lee another second behind the rest of them. They're fighting off Alex King, who's trying to make his way around the outside.
If they're able to get single filed out, they can still catch up to Giovanni Romano. Bum drafting is a very real solution that we've seen for several drivers here in this race. They just got to have the wherewithal to actually be willing to go for it. So you jump back once more to take a look at Corey Barrett here as this just went all sorts of haywire.
Yeah, 76 turning 13. And then that flip as number 7 gets knocked over and pushed further. Lands on the feet, though.
Lands on the feet, unfortunately could not get a stop before going crunch into the tire barriers.
Well, I don't think, when the tires have not been on the ground prior to that, I don't think he had much of a choice.
Yeah. In fact, those tire barriers are part of the reason why those tires got down on the ground.
That is very true.
Well, that has broken this field up a ton, and you can see how much that has impacted the front runners here. They're kind of, like you say, getting away in a bit of a game of their own up here.
The pockets of racing forming back up pretty quickly as a result of those incidents, as the pack of drivers were following along with, involving Alex Bueller as well as Ron Wolf and a bunch of other drivers that pitted the second time around on the Quickie 69, are trying to make their way back up to the front of the order, or at least be in a good spot for the second round of pit stops that a lot of the field probably will have to do.
And problems with Justin Hall as the 6'4" lost it, and he got T-boned as well.
Yeah, he got that car loose right in front of his sister car, and then that, of course, got him spun further as he gets T-boned.
And back behind. You can still see this battle pack trying to cut their way through. Chris Flam's back to the lead, pushed this time by Bueller and Ryan Verhulst. Oh, look out behind. Ron Wolf being shot sideways and
Chris Flams
collided with Vietnam.
Out of Vietnam, Chris Flam spinning kind of on his own in front of all of that.
Oh boy, they just crashed up the road in front of him as well. A few cars having to come together. So we'll take a look back here on what went down. This was Flams first and foremost, as he just lost the tail end by himself.
Yep, curving not helping him at all.
And coming through is Dupuis. They were 4 wide going into turn number 2, and well, that was never going to work out the way they thought it was.
No, it wasn't. Alex Hammond's getting into the back corner of Alex Klenk and then catching Matthew Dupuis as he had his spin.
Going to get a ride on board here with the 42 entry. This is Greg Beckman making his way through. He gets around. Flam's just fine. But to take a look at this, as he was right behind this whole mess, sees it develop up the road. Has to make a quick course correction to get around it.
Good, quick thinking from him in that machine as well. Fast hands to keep that car moving in the right direction.
You know, that little hit, that's not something you can save, right? I mean, once these cars start to go sideways, there is absolutely no catching them.
Not really, especially you can see the hands moving to try to catch them, but especially with some of those incidents and hits like that, you are becoming a passenger very rapidly because they do not have a whole lot of grip as soon as they get out of kind of the operating window and the tires start sliding.
And part of that is because of course, how light they are, right? They are not very planted machines of the racetrack.
They are light machines. They have, small engines, these light bodywork, all kind of strapped to four wheels with nothing to push down under load or under speed. So they are, very easy to tip, very easy to move in ways that you don't want them to. And cannot take a whole lot of side hits very easily. Bum drafting, though, perfect.
Oh, and speaking of the devil around, going to go back for Stupid. No, he actually is going to catch it back here. Although he is going to lose out a lot of time to Ron Wolf.
Well, when you do catch it and you have those kind of moments where it slides, you end up trying to, you lift off to try to kind of catch it. And then as you do so, you end up losing a lot of time like we're seeing here with Ron Wolf, just because you're not on the accelerator trying to keep the car going forward in a speedy manner.
And here's going to be 3 wide as Chris Flamm's going to be split by Ben Williams and Jason Lee. Fleming going to be dropping out several. And not a lot he can do with getting in line.
Unfortunately not, but he's going to try to fight Ben Williams for the spot. And he will keep at least one of the 2 spots. Jake Casey comes down pit road for his second pit stop of the night.
So Romano, King, Agostino, Carlton, and more all still under a blanket here. There's a bit of side-by-side as Corey Merida, we saw upside down earlier on. Makes the duck around Ryan Murphy. And right now you can see Agostino Carlton's trying to push Agostino back into Alex King. They have dropped back now 5 seconds from Romano.
Yeah.
Who's just continuing to pull away.
Unfortunately, every time the group of cars that I feel like I'm seeing start to link up, there is either a pass or a bit of loose body to where they can't keep the momentum they've been gaining on Giovanni Romano, and Giovanni Romano keeps pulling away on that own little island, just kind of running off into the sunset almost, as the rest of the field scramble to try to make up the rest of the positions.
So with 7, go ahead, sorry.
I would say it has made me wonder if Giovanni Romano is trying to get as much time as he can to the rest of the field to where he can pit under green and still come out ahead of all the people who did the 1 stop on lap 26.
That may very well be what he is attempting to do here, assuming that he does have to come down to pit road. That or he is good to go the distance and we just don't know it yet.
I think he would probably be lapping a little slower if he was trying to fuel save a little bit more. He's still running just under 1 minute lap times, 59.77 last time he came across the line. So I think he's still got, he's still pushing, I feel like, trying to keep that space that he's built up to the rest of the field.
And 1 car going around, trying to get into pit road that time by. As we see Tyler Carlton, Jason Lee, and Scott Fleming continuing to go at him. I mean, these guys just have not been able to break away from each other whatsoever, and they are proving that this is a significant challenge that these guys are fighting with to try and get any kind of momentum here.
Yeah, and I think they're also, looks like they're more fighting with each other than trying to link up to try to take the fight further up the order and work together as Jason Lee dives down the lap traffic of Matthew Dupuis, who's trying to recover a bit of the race that he can manage.
One more car coming to pit road. Greg Beckman is in. And we got one around at turn 1. That is Scott Fleming that has dropped it.
I wonder what happened to Scott Fleming there that caused, gets into the rear end. You'll see it here in just a moment. Gets in the rear end of Matthew Dupuis, who got a little loose and spun it as a result.
Tell you what, again, the car right behind it did a great job. This is Ben Williams and what he saw. Oh boy!
Just catches it too. Got to put a lot of steering input in there to avoid Scott Fleming, and then in the process also made sure that he didn't lose the car in the process. Tyler Carlton, I believe, diving down pit lane here.
So yet another car comes down to pit road, and I think a lot of these front runners are starting to bail out. I think you're right, the fuel game does not line up right now. And the driver that would be in the catbird seat for the fuel strategy then, who might not have to pit, would be Bueller right now, right in front of Alex Clank. Right now running 6th and 7th.
Yeah, and these two are part of the ones I talked about earlier on in the race, but I think it really depends on how much fuel saving they've been doing. I'm guessing based on their lap times, a little bit more than probably the front runners of the field that have yet to pit. Speaking of front runners that have yet to pit, on her pitting again, Giovanni Romano in for the second pit stop of the evening. Alex King, Ben Williams, Ryan Burrell, Scott Fleming, all also in as they keep going. Tyler Agostino taking over the lead of the race as Jason Lee and Alexander Bueller and Alex Clank working with each other to try to keep the race going in the right direction if they need to make a second stop here.
There you see Giovanni Romano coming down to pit road, now just waiting on the top two to come down to the pits, and this here the battle right now for the net race lead between Alexander Bueller and Alexander Clank. So it's the fight of the Alexanders as they look ready to do battle, and right now they're more content with just bump drafting each other, help each other continue to push clear of Austin Tucker, Ron Wolf, and Henry Morris.
I think it's been the strategy for the top group of cars that has really helped them keep the space and distance they have to the rest of the fat pack here. And as Tyler Agostino, Jason Lee both dive into pit lane for their second pit stop, they will take over the lead of the race and keep this bump draft train going. I'm guessing.
Jason Lee got a penalty on the way in.
Oh, speeding on pit road.
That'll do it.
My guess there. Keep on board with him. Yeah, way over.
Not even close.
No, unfortunately, that RPM range for 6th gear, way high for the amount of speed that he would be going. And I wonder if he just misjudged the pit speed limit. Though, I mean, it comes up pretty early, so he would have to have known. And he's already pitted once.
Well, the last time he was pitting, though, it was under a code 69, remember? So he wouldn't have been going at full tilt either.
That's fair. Much easier entry into pit lane than under the pressure of green flag. So we'll drop him way down the order as a result. And Ron Wolf diving in this time by to get his second pit stop done.
Meanwhile, it remains a battle for the top two positions here as Ron Wolf now into the box. This battles elsewhere on the racetrack. Brooks, Clayton, Campbell, Beckman, and By. Pack of 4 here looking strong. This is for 22nd on down. 19th through 21st is close as well with Flams, Fleming and Verstappen. Can't forget that battle for 6th as well between Hammonds and his teammate Aaron Thacker. It seems like these guys are always around each other. They can just never get away.
I think they've got pretty similar pace, it looks like, in this machinery. So they end up, I feel like, a lot of times doing battle with each other, trying to push the cars further up the order. Alexander Bueller diving into the pit lane from the lead, which should spice up the final running order. I wonder how long he'll have to be in the box.
So they can't make it to the end. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Now the strategy really comes to life.
Because if that's the case, I want to see where he comes out relative to Giovanni Romano. He's only in the box for 7 seconds.
And Romano is through for the lead of the race, so still nowhere close to Romano.
Still has to make his way out of pit lane, and that will put him many seconds behind Giovanni Romano and back into kind of the fight with Tyler Agostino, Jake Kasich that he was in for a moment before they came in and pitted.
Bueller 4.7 behind Giovanni Romano, who we believe now to be the net race leader, waiting on everyone else to make that realization that they'll need to come down again and make their own trips into the pits.
would say they still are in pit lane overall less time than the individuals who pitted on lap 16, which makes sense, as they would have more fuel from that pit stop halfway through the race than the pit stop a quarter of the way through the race.
We see Hall by Dupuy and Mailhot again fighting it out for 26th place. As far as Beerly race go, this has actually been one of the tamer ones that I think we've ever covered. I mean, there hasn't really been all that much drama, all that much excitement. This has definitely been, one of the races where I think the field's just had enough of all the constant action. They decided to just take a step back and just let it slide, let it ride, as it will.
And it's also one of those tracks that's pretty easy to, once you've kind of figured out what you need to do. Alex Clank diving in from the lead of the race, said letting Giovanni Romano kind of work his way back up to the net lead, as the rest of the front runners who've all pitted once work their way back around. But yeah, it's another one of those races where everybody's just kind of calming down, having a little bit of an easy night, change the pace of things. Not too easy though. Number 37 makes a brief bit of contact with Chris Flams.
There is Clank right now situated in his box and making his way back out onto the racetrack. All of this with less than 10 minutes to go in racing action tonight. So Verstappen, Flams, Fleming running 19th, 20th, and 21st. So far, this whole field not left with much to complain about, as Fleming and Verstappen going to look to continue to scrap it out.
Chris Flams also not wanting to be forgotten.
Ooh, hello! Pushed off the road is the number 5.
Yeah, well, it looks like he almost turned in, and both of them having to force to take a shallower line to not wreck, pushing both of them off the road.
Meanwhile, you're right on board. We're here with Aaron Thacker as he pushes Alexander Hams. The two of them trying to see if maybe they can make a run at Derek Ronenberg up in the 3rd place spot, but I mean, they'd be needing to close about a second a lap if they want to get out there, which right now it's just not happening.
I'd have to find it hard pressed to imagine with how much time there is left that is a achievable goal without some really good bump drafting and a bit of luck to get themselves back up into that spot. And remember, they still also have to probably come in for a second pit stop. Austin Tucker leading the race through the final corners here as they come over the start-finish stretch.
Now that said, one battle that could pick up was actually for the lead of the race here. The last several laps here, Morris has been closing in just a little bit more on Austin Tucker, or at least I thought he was. Now Austin Tucker all of a sudden started to pull away again. 4/10 and now up to 0.18, but I mean, the gap there was not too far away to the lead at one point. I think right now a lot of lap traffic between Henry Morse and Austin Tucker, but if this lap traffic starts to continue to get in the way of Tucker up the road and maybe they want to unlap themselves, you could see a fight start to pick up here again for the top spot.
Certainly could be. I'm curious to see if that fight forces them into pit or if they have done the fuel saving they need to make it to the end without it. Because remember, these top 5 drivers right now have only come into pit lane once on lap 26.
No way.
Yep. Austin Tucker is proving that is still not a viable strategy as he dives in for his final pit stop of the evening. And I guess it's probably somewhere between 5 and 7 seconds in the box itself. It's a long pit lane time as a result because of the way that pit lane is in these cars.
Jason Lee with a potential problem here out of the final corner. Oh, hello! Big tank slapper and hard into the wall.
Yeah, just wheels catch and throw him into the wall there as he was trying to countersteer to stop a slide, and he stopped it a little too well.
Carson Catlin is into pit road as well. So we got 5 minutes on the docket this afternoon, and a side-by-side battle between Tucker and Augustino, who's fresh out of pit road.
And Jake Kasich also in that battle overall P8 is what position these three drivers are fighting for at the moment, as Eric Ronenberg, Alexander Hammonds, Aaron Thacker all dive into pit lane. Aaron Thacker almost running into the rear end of Alexander Hammonds on pit road.
So this here going to quickly turn into the battle for the number 5 position, which no surprise for that. As we see this battle pack fight their way up and around. And there is Tucker now into 5th, and you see him trying to battle it out with Agostino, and Jake Kasich also situated just a little ways behind, and I think he's kind of biding his time, see if he can get up there.
I think he is. I think he's also trying to see how much the reaction is going to be as we get into the last kind of closing laps here from Austin Tucker and Tyler Agostino for a defense of the P5 position from both of them kind of into turn 1.
Bit of a push there from behind from Kasich to the back of Agostino to keep him pointed forward. And just a little behind them, Matt Verstappen looking to go the long way around Evan Campbell.
And he's sticking to it. Brooks Clayton giving him a little bit of the draft as they are all behind the car of Chris Flannery. Yeah, Chris Flannery in front of that field.
And Brooks Clayton has been given a black flag, looking like he may have crossed over the threshold into that incident limit. So Clayton is unfortunately going to be sent to pit road in the final 3 or so laps of this race. Tough break for that number 9 to be dropped out of the top 10, or out of the top 20 with that, and he's going to be kicking himself.
Definitely, and like we talked about, with how kind of stringent the off-tracks are. Connor Daly joining the black flags being waved for him as well as they are coming around these last couple minutes.
And Daly was the result of a spin off of turn number 1.
Adding insult to injury, getting that black flag, I feel like. But when you have crossed the threshold, you have in fact crossed the threshold through usually a good number of incidents at this point. So, unfortunate end to the evening for Connor Daly as well.
And right now, Henry Morris working his way through the last corner, and he will start his second to last lap. We officially have 2 laps to go this afternoon from the Red Bull Ring. And it is going to be an aggressive dogfight for everyone else here. I think time is pretty much done waiting, and you can stop trying to catch up to other drivers. You got to work with what you got.
Yeah, that is true. But Henry Morris, trying to make the one-stop work, is having to give up a lot of time in these last few laps in order to make the fuel strategy work, as he has just let the number 7 of Corey Barrett unlap himself from the lead.
He is right now with Giovanni Romano, who, by the way, did have to come back down to pit road. So Romano now within 6 seconds of the lead here. And Moore's running in a very high gear right now to try to see if he can't maintain. Now the question is, will he do so? As he'll work around to look to take the white flag.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a ballsy move here from Henry Morris to keep the car going the right direction. He's going to see how much fuel he's going to have to save. He's been planning for it, I bet, since the pit stop, but I think he's still been trying to catch, or at least keep a good distance to Giovanni Romano up until this point. And in the process, I think he is definitely on a bit of fuel saving as we get down to the final lap here.
Final lap of the race, gap down to 4.7, make it 4.6. The gap is not coming down quick enough, but the question is, does Morris have the fuel to go the distance? Morris trying to work his way up and around, and if he can pull this off, it would be a genius fuel strategy, and we'll have to ask him how the heck he got it done. Final lap this time by, it is now official. Henry Morris through turn 5, back around through turn 6, the only driver to make the one-stop strategy work, Henry Morse, off the final corner. He wins at the Red Bull Ring.
He wins with 4 seconds to Giovanni Romano, who comes home in second. Alex Bueller and Alex Clank on.
Oh, hello. Clank shuffled off the road.
I think he had a bit of a rough couple. I think he's out of fuel.
Oh boy, that would do it.
Yeah, Alex Clank, I think he's out of fuel, which is why he comes home in 7th.
Hammonds fends off Bright, who will split the Cryptid Awareness Project teammates, and taking a look at the last few cars that come across the line.
Verstappen, Greg Beckman dueling it out.
And that one goes the way of Verstappen, who held on.
By 100th.
And looking as though Adam Joseph Eilhart spotted in the final corner. Corey Barrett is out of fuel as he is just looking to limp his way across the line. Darren Bai gonna give him a boost as he goes across. I think he would have gotten there by himself, but I appreciate the effort.
I think you would. Yeah, I think like
the
nice
morals were good. The intentions were there.
Yes, absolutely. The nice part about it as well is, it's a downhill start-finish stretch for the first portion of it. So you get a little bit of speed there, just holding the accelerator or the clutch in to keep it going the right direction.
So with all that said and done, racing action draws to a close this afternoon. Let's take a rundown of your final results here tonight. As at the end of the 1 hour main event, it is Henry Morse to take home the W, somehow making the one-stop work alongside Giovanni Romano. Alexander Bueller comes home third with Tucker in fourth, Jake Kasich in fifth, Augustino in sixth, and then it is Clank, Wolf, King, and Ronneberg to close out the top 10.
In 11th, Alexander Hammonds alongside Chris Bright for 12th. 13th is going to be Aaron Thacker. 14th, Tyler Carlton. Ryan Verhulst is 15. And Ben Williams, Tyler Vierman, Scott Fleming, Chris Flams, and Mac Verstappen round out your top 20.
21st place then on the board is going to be the likes of Greg Beckman alongside Evan Campbell, Carson Catlin the 23rd, Justin Hall the 24th, Blake Gambrell, Matthew Dupuis, Adam Joseph Eilhart, Corey Barrett, Darren Bai, and Jason Lee bring it up with the top 30 by the last one to finish on the lead lap.
That he is Ryan Murphy, Brooks Clayton, Connor Daly, Jeremy Castro, Henry Lieberman, Justin Brissy, Jordan Babcock, Chris Soper, and Kyle Blevins are the 39 drivers, the last few of which did not take the checker flag from Henry Lieberman down, are all drivers that have disconnected prior to that.
So all of that takes us to the close of racing action here this afternoon, and we'll look to get a chit-chat here to the drivers that come home number one at the end of the night. And we'll look to start it off first and foremost with Henry Morse, the lone driver that made the one-stop work this afternoon. Henry, a wild final few laps for you. You were backing it up on the pace. You're the only one that went 28 laps on a single stint of fuel. How the heck did you get it done?
Oh, just a lot of camaraderie with my neighbors out there, just giving them lots of room and helping them out and letting them help me, and really just kind of flowing with the tide, with the traffic there, and just trying to use that pedal over there on the right as little as possible. And even towards the end, I was actually clutching in, coasting, so I was driving around at idle RPM.
Well, it certainly seemed to work out for you here this afternoon. It's yet another chance where you find yourself up on top. Obviously, Alex Cofford absent this afternoon. Do you reckon this opens up the door for that title run for you?
I think so. I mean, it was a really good night for me. I collected the win in the sprint and the feature, and I'm getting 2 points for my beverage because it's a pretty strong one. And I'm told that I had the fastest lap of the race by some miracle, which is weird because, my whole fuel saving game. But who knows if that's true. So anyways, either way, a very good haul of points for tonight, and not my dog. And hoping we'll see what the numbers are looking like after tonight. But I'm feeling pretty good about them.
Next week is the WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. Do you reckon win number 3 is in store for you a week from today?
You know, I think I have as good a chance there as anywhere. I think that track is a little tighter, a little more technical, and at least the tracks that have a few more turns, like, for example, we had Red Skogan earlier in the season. I feel like I have a greater ability to pull a gap. At a track like this, it's not that tight, and it's really more of a strategy and a game as far as how you're going to position yourself, and not as far as raw pace. I feel like I've pretty good raw pace, but I just haven't been able to really put it to use. So I think I will probably be able to do that better at Laguna than at most other tracks.
All right, we'll wish you the best of luck when we return to racing action. Congratulations on taking the race win today, and we'll see you next week in California.
All right, see ya.
Henry Morse comes home number 1 this afternoon, and that will bring on up Giovanni Romano, the driver that comes home number 2. Hard chart of the day. He is up 34 spots, and he is also standing by with Acinni.
Up 34 spots and a fantastic two-stop. Were you planning the two-stop from the start when you pitted on lap 16?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't think it was worth staying out the first stop, so I picked, and I think that was a good call. Because then that second caution came out, and that was pretty much perfect. I was able to stay out, and I had that sweet track position, and I think it was like the 99% perfect strategy. Unfortunately, it was the 99% perfect strategy and not the perfect strategy which Henry had. So good job to him.
A lot of fuel saving is what he cited in his interview on how he was able to keep that going the right direction on those last few laps when he was running on fumes, clutching it and idling. So I think you definitely made the safer call, at least from what I saw here in the booth. Otherwise, it seemed to be a pretty uneventful feature race. The sprint race was a little bit more of a heated one for you. How did you manage the kind of the lap traffic through the second half of the feature race there?
Yeah, I think in a way you can kind of get an advantage off of it because of the toe. So if you kind of catch them at the right time, it can give you an advantage. It wasn't too much lap. I actually was surprised there wasn't as much traffic as I thought there was going to be, given the small track. I think a lot of people were bunched up and it never really got to them. So I think that just means that everyone did a really good job because I wasn't able to lap them. So good job, everyone.
Fantastic stuff. Another podium for you. Your run for the championship still seems to be at least alive for now. Do you have hopes as we go to Laguna Seca next week to continue that upward climb with this second place here tonight?
Yeah, I'm sure I've got a shot. Not the most excited about the track. Not that I don't hate Laguna Seca, but I'm also not crazy about it. Especially in this car, maybe. But you never know. You go in with an open mind. Sometimes it can be more fun than you expect. So we'll see how it goes.
Fantastic. Any other shout outs here as we get wrapped up for the evening, and we'll let you go about your way off the podium here?
I guess shout out to Jason Lee for trying to help me out there at the end. My teammate gave me a push or two as we were trying to catch Henry at the end. So thanks to him for that.
Fantastic stuff. Well, we will see you next week at Laguna Seca for the next round of the beer league here.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
And that is Giovanni Romano, who came on P2 this evening.
A solid race overall tonight. Definitely one of the more calm races we had throughout the course of the afternoon, or throughout the season, sorry. But with 2 races to go, I have a distinct feeling, Fen, like Laguna Seca is not going to share that trait next week.
I definitely agree. I could not, when I saw that and you mentioned it for Henry Morrison, when I repeated it to Giovanni Romano, a thing going in the back of my head was there is a very fast left-hander on that track that really helps if you have downforce, and these cars don't have that. So it's going to be an interesting one in that corner alone. And then the corkscrew, one of the more fun, multi-story roller coaster style drops that you get on racing, also in cars without downforce. So I think it'll be a very different experience than what we saw this evening for the drivers.
It's going to look to be a pretty wild ride when we go racing next. But before I get to all of that, we've still got more action coming on up here on Green Flag TV. We'll kick it off with a doubleheader of the Michigan International Speedway as that gets set to come on up for us just 1 week from today. 24 hours from today with the AJ SRL Series alongside the Speed Cup Series. From there as well, we're going to have the SRA NAS Classic Series out at Kansas Speedway on Saturday night. Saturday night holds the ASL Xfinity Series, the race number 14 at Homestead Miami Speedway. That is quickly followed up with the High Tide Racing League Guardian Premier Series at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. And then we cap it off once again by swinging back stateside for Beer League action here on Wednesday nights. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. As always, my name is Nolan Rempel alongside Acinni. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you all next time when we go racing in the Beer League.